Good morning. Welcome to the Community Review on Hot 92.3. I'm host Sept Salinas, your host. Well, I promised you that we were going to continue this series, and that's exactly what we're doing. Calling all nonprofits, calling all people who think they might want to start a nonprofit. Maybe you work for a nonprofit. You are a nonprofit. We have got valuable information for you. It's the second in a 6-part series about being a nonprofit, because there's a whole lot more to that than just saying, I want to do some good for people, so I think I want to start a nonprofit. So, of course, we have back our good friends from the Nonprofit Development Alliance, Norm and Katango. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning to you.
So, last time we kind of did an overview where we just kind of in general looked at nonprofits and all the different people who want to hear from you on a yearly basis that didn't used to want to hear from you, or you didn't know that they wanted to hear from you, but now because they can charge you penalties for not hearing from you, they want to hear from you. So we spent some time talking about that last time. This time we're going to focus on who should start a nonprofit. What is a nonprofit for? Let's start with that question. What actually is the purpose of a nonprofit?
Well, there's actually two answers to that. One is, why do you want to form one from the tax standpoint? And that's a lot of the incentives that people have to get involved in the nonprofit world. But aside from the tax standpoint, let's talk about what the mission, what the goal is. So, Katanga, I would love for you to speak about the distinctions between a nonprofit company versus a for-profit company, because that's something a lot of people don't understand.
Everybody who starts a nonprofit have one thing in common. They have a passion. A passion could be anything. There is an event that happened in their lives, and so they want to change something. Okay, maybe they saw an animal that was abused. Then they decide, I need to do something about it. Maybe it's like compassionate guides. A lady who was in the hospital and had no friends or relatives to visit. And that's how compassionate guides was invented. That passion to help out the community, not even making money or personal enrichment. That is where nonprofits usually begin. They don't start because somebody wants to make a lot of money. I don't see that common, but they have a passion for the community. They want to solve a particular thing. Commercial, on the other hand, is I got to make some money. Believe me, those two are very, very important to understand in knowing what motivates people to do what they do. If you understand what motivates somebody, then you are able to help them. So once I find those two, somebody without a passion, I start trying to speak their language. I ask them, can I help you develop and grant strategic plan? See, the language has changed already because I know what they want. Versus a commercial, I'm going to change the language and say, can I prepare you a business plan? But you know what? Whether it's a business plan or a grand strategic plan, they're exactly the same, except the language is different because we understand where they are coming from.
Now, what does the government think a nonprofit is? Their definition of what a nonprofit is.
Well, up until a couple of years ago, the government didn't even know who the nonprofits were. And that's why they changed the rules back in 2006. The government really had no way of monitoring or accounting for all the nonprofits out there. So what you had was a lot of people out there doing things so much under the radar that the state of California and the federal government didn't even know that they existed. That's why a lot of nonprofits right now are finding that they're being challenged and actually being revoked by the IRS and soon the Franchise Tax Board. So the thing that most people need to understand is that there's a lot of government incentives, and there's also a lot of criticism because some people say the government is encouraging people to start a nonprofit when really they're out making money. And there's a misconception out there because many people think that nonprofits don't make money. And we all know that that's not really the case. There's a lot of very wealthy organizations out there, whether they be museums or larger organizations like cancer societies and universities. They make a lot of money. The thing is, it's how the government taxes them, or in this case, doesn't tax them. That's why it's one of those things that you absolutely need to know going in what the rules are, and unfortunately, it is prone to abuse.
A lot of things are prone to abuse.
Let me give you a broad picture because from an educational standpoint, I'm excited about teaching the community about the background behind this concept of nonprofit. Did you know that it's an act of Congress? A lot of people don't know why nonprofit charter exists. It comes from Congress.
Okay.
Here is what happened. Congress found out that there are some needs out there in the community that they cannot be able to provide. First of all, a congressman in Washington, D.C. has no clue where somebody who is saving animals in downtown San Dimas has no clue even where San Dimas is. Congress decided there are some people out there who need help. We don't even know how to provide that help. We don't even know where they are. But we do want to give help to those kinds of people who are the best professionals to provide it for us on behalf of the government, on behalf of Congress, because Congress wants public service. It's the nonprofit. So what Congress decided to do is let's reward those businesses that serve the community, that serve what we want to serve, but we don't have the expertise. We don't even know who they are. They found out nonprofit executive directors are the ones who can provide that service. And that's why the term 501c3 was invented. It was invented by Congress. It's an act, it's a law that if we find those people who are given the service that we are not capable of giving, we will even fund them through grants. Okay, and also we will make sure they don't pay income tax. Why do you think Congress is telling the IRS, find them, make sure they don't pay income tax? It was originally to encourage those who want to help members of the community as opposed to businesses. In other words, you are representing Congress when you are doing a nonprofit because that's where you don't pay taxes. So you are actually in partnership with Congress.
Whoa.
That's where it started.
See? Wow, the history. That's what I'm talking about, the history of 501c3.
And the key word to understand there, it's supposed to be a business, and that unfortunately has gotten out of sight from a lot of organizations. At one time, it used to be very difficult to form one. Only the professionals do it. But what's happened is over the last several decades, it's been abused to the point of where someone who says, you know what, I'm going to start a nonprofit because, you know what, I don't have to pay taxes. And so they do things with the wrong intentions. And it's unfortunate because people can always use the system to their advantage and not anyone else's advantage. So what's happening here is that the government is encouraging you to reach out and help others, whether it be homeless people, whether it be children, whether it be veterans, whether it be animals, whatever the case might be. The government is saying, we want to help you do it as an incentive to do it. Then we're going to make sure that the income that you receive is not taxed. Meanwhile, you can still draw salary. You can still hire CFOs, and you can still hire marketing people, and you can still hire all those people to do that. But we want to make sure that the net result is that you are actually doing something significant in the population. That's why foundations, the ones who actually give money, that's why they're all about outcomes.
Who should start a nonprofit? If let's say, now, I mean, I started one years ago because I started it because I was working with several recording artists who wanted to do some things to be able to give back to the community. And I said, hey, and I had this idea like, let's do food drives, let's do Christmas caravans where we'll get toys and we'll put packages together of food and toys and take it to Boys and Girls Clubs, which we did. Let's get a recording studio and put equipment in it and let kids who can't afford to go to a studio come in and record here. So this was the motivation behind why I started it, and then I continued with it, doing various things, reading programs where I'd collect books, and then every event that I would go out to, I would bring thousands of books with me and give them away to kids. And people would give the books to my nonprofit because it was a nonprofit. So they would give them to me, and then I was able to then give them out to people. My girls' conference, How to Be a Girl, it has evolved into, because I finally found what my passion was. And I said, now I can really grow my nonprofit into this big thing that I want to do for young women. And so that was my passion, how it started. It started out with, this is great, and I see all these things that I do for radio stations, but I'd really like to be able to go and do this in the community with people. And then obviously having some celebrities involved was fun because that, brings the media to what you're doing, but then it also shines the light on the organizations that needed help, and the look on the kids' faces when you delivered these big bags of food and bags of toys to them at Christmas was just amazing, and it made me happy. It makes me happy.
That's awesome. And you know what? You had not just the mission, but you also had the ability. Would you agree with that?
Definitely.
You were in the right place at the right time. You had the resources. You had the relationships to be able to do it.
Exactly.
So imagine when you ask the question, who should start a nonprofit? It's really a question of who should not start a nonprofit. And I think one of the things that we mentioned in the last interview is if you're starting it to get a job for yourself, to create a job for yourself, that's the wrong reason, people. We have had people come in and say, I want to start a nonprofit because I'm looking to provide a job for myself or for my family or something along those lines. Meanwhile, they still want to do good, but it's not their number one motive. Would you agree with that, Katanga?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. You notice when we ask you why you started, you use the word passion. Okay, if your passion is to help the community, it's just like asking somebody if you ask two people, one person you ask, what are you doing? Say, I'm making money to feed my family. You ask the second person, what are you doing? I'm building a castle. Two different answers. They are doing the same project. One of them has a different mission, is to help those that are in need. So when you start because you want to help those in need, you have a passion. So if you are out there to make money, that's not the right way to do it.
Now, okay, so we've decided that you've got to have passion. Now, I'm going to place myself in the position of the person who's thinking about starting a nonprofit. I have this passion, and I really, really, really want to save miniature pinchers. It's a passion of mine. I'm just hypothetically. So I know I have the passion, but now I need to probably do some research, right?
Well, the first thing I would do is I'd find out if there's any organizations that already do that.
There you go.
And, that's part of the challenge in today's world is everyone wants their own little billboard, and it's part of, unfortunately, the ego that drives a lot of people who start nonprofits. It's like, I'm the founder, I'm the originator, I'm the one who did this. And we would rather see nonprofits, we would rather see less nonprofits doing more than more that are struggling. If you look in the state of California, there's 160,000 nonprofits. So, Josefa,
wow.
do you think there's 160,000 different causes out there?
Probably not. There's probably a lot of duplication, I would imagine.
You could probably narrow down, you could probably pigeonhole them into anywhere from a couple of or to a dozen or more different specific causes. Now, granted, there's going to be nuances that maybe cover very specific things, but let's just say that there's 50 real causes that people have to belong to. Why do you need thousands of organizations that all cater to one specific market sector? Why don't they work together? And we would rather see more people working together because there's volunteers out there that would like to get involved. And who wants to get involved with an organization that's struggling? There's a lot of people out there that would like to be board members, but who wants to get involved with an organization that's not well-founded or doesn't have their act together? So when you ask the question, who should start a nonprofit? I think that there really should be some common sense that comes into it. Passion is wonderful. Causes are wonderful. It's all coming from the right side of the brain. But, let's put the left side into action here and let's look at it. Do I have the acumen? Do I have the background? Do I have the knowledge and expertise to actually deal with the paperwork that's involved? Because it's difficult. You've got 5 watchdogs that are basically barking at your tail to make sure that you don't get in trouble with them. So I think that anyone who's looking to start a nonprofit really needs to get guidance and really needs to get advice before they even go into that category.
Well, you know what? Let's right now give the website for your organization so that if there's somebody out there right now that's like, oh, gosh, please just give me the information. I want to see what, if these people can help me.
Absolutely. So Nonprofit Development Alliance, or if that's too long, go to fixmynonprofit.com, fixmynonprofit.com. Our number in Orange County is 949-667-1434. And regardless of whether you're starting one, whether you have one, whether you need help with fund development or grant strategies or compliance or accounting, we have a whole advisory board that is designed to pretty much take care of everything and anything you might need to get your nonprofit to the next level. And that's what we want to do, is get you to the next level.
Don't go away. We're going to talk about that next level next on the Community Review, Hot 92.3.